What's up, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? Welcome to another BudgetMonk video. Sorry that I haven't been so active lately. I haven't uploaded in weeks. The reason, actually, believe it or not, is because my computer died. It's deaded. It explodified, which is really sad, bad, man. Rip monies. But the good news is I have a new PC, and that's always a great thing. Actually, I've been waiting for cables to be delivered to run my multiple monitors and so on. But in the meantime, on my one monitor, I've been playing Warhammer Total War, which actually has been really fun. And I'd talk about that if you guys were interested, or who knows, I might make a video or something like that. Let me know if you'd be interested. But in one of my previous videos, I talked about doing a Let's Play, and I actually mentioned the nation of Naples. However, lately, I haven't been feeling very motivated at all to play this game. And that happens every now and then. There's been times where I felt like I was over EU4, but then I find a massive amount of sort of enthusiasm coming back. And the way for me that I've learned to kind of help alleviate that, like, I feel like this game is, well, what I do is I think, what would I enjoy doing? And then that is exactly what I do, rather than actually, I feel like playing Naples might feel like a bit of a chore for me. So instead, I'm going to do what I feel like doing. So that's going to be something which is really original and never been done before, and that's play Brandenburg. So I know, you guys have never seen anybody play Brandenburg before, but you'll be really glad to know that hopefully you guys will be hyped up for this, because I'm looking forward to it, and it's going to be a little bit different, I think, from most Brandenburgian games, and I'm going to elaborate why I think it's going to be different with basically my opening intentions, what I intend to do in the first years, and an overall rundown. But I also want to talk about what idea groups I'm going to take, and so on and so forth. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy that. But I imagine that in this prelude to the Let's Play, I'm not going to be getting that many views and so on, or maybe even the entire Let's Play in general. But this is a nice chill place, guys. If you really want to chat with me and tell me your thoughts, I would appreciate it. First of all, I just really want to talk about the nation of Brandenburg. Their ideas are obviously OP, in the sense that they have pretty much the best military ideas in the game. But I actually think that Brandenburg is, in a sense, overrated. I kind of feel like their strength, of course, is their ideas, but honestly, they are actually, in my honest opinion, they are comparable to a one province minor. I mean, imagine if you were playing a one province minor that had 53 development. Of course, it's going to be a powerful one province minor, but the point that I'm trying to make is that Brandenburg can technically just be fully annexed immediately and you can lose the game, as opposed to somebody like France, which is on a whole nother level, or Castile. I actually think that despite the ideas being good, they are so far behind sort of the initial great powers of the world that in the overall spectrum of things, they cannot actually be really compared in terms of strength. Like, if you look at a good player playing a nation like Austria and having a good game, as opposed to somebody playing Brandenburg and having a good game, I have seen many players on Austria who have basically have a massive amount of influence in all of Europe within, 100 years, in a really good game, as opposed to within 100 years, I've seen competent players who sort of have, some land. Like, the difference is outstanding. And I've really been meditating on how it is that I could really take Brandenburg to the entire world. And that's exactly what I intend to do here. Years ago, literally years ago, when I first started playing this game, before I was, you know, your humble resident budget monk who just happens to be the best player that has ever graced the planet. Um, Before that, and before I was achievement hunting and things like that, I would just pick a nation that I felt like playing and just play them and do my best and see what I could achieve. And it has literally been years since I've done that, and that's exactly what I feel like doing on Brandenburg. Just pushing it to see how far I can get. Of course, I'm not an exploiter. I don't abuse the game mechanics. Or, well, I do my best, but not in any kind of exploitative way that is not intended. And I would love to actually take Brandenburg as far as I possibly can, maybe picking up some achievements like forming the Roman Empire, but moreover, trying to conquer the entire world. That's the ambition. And so, what I'm going to go ahead and do is basically break down what are going to be my opening moves and the intention I have, and what you guys might be able to see and expect on this upcoming playlist of Let's Plays. So, I hope you guys enjoy, and I hope you guys are hyped. And let's go from there. My first move is going to be dealing with Pomerania, but I actually am not that worried about taking them out. I just really want Stolp to give us access into the Teutonic Order. Now, if we get Neumark really early via the event where you can basically pay 100 ducats to take it from the Teutonic Order, that's going to allow us to take nothing but the province of Stolp, which means if we can deal with Pomerania's defensive alliance, which might be very easily achievable, even though their combined strength might be way stronger than us. Let's say they're allied to Magdeburg. We will just be able to smash Magdeburg immediately. And maybe take his cash and then move on to the next target. But I want to get into the Teutonic Order whilst they're being wrecked by Poland. I also want to actually only take 1 or 2 provinces, so that therefore we actually have a shorter truce time than the Poles do with the Teutonic Order. And therefore we're going to be able to start a second war before the Poles do, and actually potentially, let's say we take these 2 and he takes these 3, then we might be able to just fully annex what actually remains. Now, of course, Pomerania and the Teutonic Order are going to be valid rivals from the very beginning of the game, and if we do 1, 2, 3 successful wars back to back against them, we might be able to maintain extremely high power projection. From there, I actually naturally want to continue expanding along the Baltic coastline by rivaling the Livonian Order, and hopefully there, that is, if he doesn't make an alliance with a kind of neighboring superpower, hopefully that's a really good source of power projection as well. From there, I would love to snag Novgorod. If there is any of them remaining and we can push up to Russia, the Russian realm, early enough, I would love to actually vassalize Novgorod, and that's going to enable us to use hopefully an overwhelming reconquest CB against Muscovy and take a tremendous amount of land, but also have a really nice subject up here. And that's a good way to prevent us from dealing with the heresy of the Orthodox religion for now, for the meantime. Now, all of that is somewhat predictable. You would expect a Brandenburg player to do that. What I'm actually not going to do is expand into the empire whatsoever. I've noticed that Brandenburg, back to what I was saying, meditating upon how difficult it is to play them, they are usually so slow at expanding because of the empire mechanic, of course. So I'm going to focus dramatically as much as I can expanding outside of the empire, and of course being, hopefully mostly in Eastern Europe, it will not give us as much aggressive expansion as it would annexing these nations right in the center of Central Europe. And, the empire modifier and the demanding imperial land back and so on and so forth. Now, the way that I want to deal with the empire, which I think will be a little bit different, is actually becoming emperor. I want to achieve everything I just said whilst also maintaining good diplomacy with the other electors. Of course, being Brandenburg, we can vote for ourselves. And I think the Austrian ruler is what, like 24 years old when he begins? So it's not that unlikely that within 30 years he will actually die. And I would love to actually become emperor. If we are emperor, that's going to give us the possibility to gain the Burgundian inheritance, which would be really, really sweet to basically give us much more options. But also maybe by using ban imperial land, we might attack Venice and give us access into Italy. So again, we're basically going to have surrounded the empire and give us many more opportunities to expand outside of the empire as opposed to inside the empire. Now, obviously, it's reaching a little bit to, it's far from guaranteed, but we're going to do our best to get the Burgundian inheritance and become emperor, really make some big plays happen, forging our own luck. From there, I would really love to expand, like I said, into the outside of the empire into hopefully these cheaper lands also in Scandinavia that can be added to the empire in order to pass the reforms. But of course, we're going to want to form Prussia. So in order to form Prussia, we actually need to be Protestant. And that's going to make us forfeit the emperorship. So, in a sense, it's not the end of the world if we don't become the emperor, but I would prefer it if we do, because it might enable us to just crush Poland, for instance. But also, we may do a better job passing reforms than Austria does. But I do actually intend to forfeit my emperorship by flipping to Protestant in order to form Prussia. Once that is actually achieved, what I intend to do is use that time, not worrying about votes and so on, to expand as aggressively as we possibly can until finally the Protestant Reformation or the Protestant Leagues form. At that stage, I'd like to nab the emperorship again by winning the Protestant League War. But I want to be as powerful as possible to actually make that as smooth as possible, that war, and become emperor once again, but it will be a new German empire, it will be a Protestant empire. At that stage, hopefully, with the amount of land that we can add, cheap land, hopefully, integrating Novgorod, perhaps, as well as Scandinavia, we can pass enough reforms so that within a few short years, we can vassalize the entire empire. Now, many of you might be thinking, but Monk, don't you want to form Germany? And if we form Germany, we will leave the empire. There's no point. Well, I mean, we've done the HRE so many times. Why don't we just do the HRE as Austria? Well, I suppose that's part of the differentness, the uniqueness of my ambition of this run. What I actually intend to do is integrate the entire empire the old-fashioned way. Just integrate them one by one as vassals. And I think when you weigh up the gains, the advantages of having the vassal swarm, having the money, none of them have the malice and so on as your subjects. We can abuse them and we can feed them land. And then integrating them much later on, we can integrate some of them, but the bulk of it, let's say we feed Austria like crazy, can be integrated once we have some admin efficiency. I really think, although it's not absolutely insane and it's not full abuse of the empire, I think that is maybe something that is really good to consider. Like, I wouldn't go so far as to say it's an oversight of other players, but it's kind of an original thought for myself. I think that if we spend our admin like crazy, just pushing hard into Russia and Asia Minor, into Asia, Arabia and Africa, pushing hard and basically letting the Europeans colonize, do what they do, while we vassalize the entire empire and then integrate them. So, in a sense, we'd be spending our admin out here and our diplomacy here. I think that is a tremendous amount of land that we can inherit or integrate freely. And I think that might be a pretty creative tactic to actually dealing with Europe. Of course, what we would end up with is integrating a lot of the smaller nations, some of the key nations, whilst having Austria and other big nations inside the empire, or we could create big nations by feeding them, serve us as good vassals, ultimately integrating them with admin efficiency, and then forming Germany. So that is my intention. I feel like that's pretty creative. It's pretty bold, but I would love to really be the biggest and the baddest Germany, the best many, the Germany. As far as the New World is concerned, I actually think that in conclusion of all my time and my experience playing this game, I kind of feel like, although it's really fun playing a nation like Castile or Portugal and colonizing the world, it's kind of a chump move. It's a scrub move. Why colonize the land yourself when you can just expand and then take their colonies, right? The development out here is really cheap. Whether we use imperialism CB against a free independent nation or not, I think we can take huge chunks of the New World once they've colonized it for us in the late game. So yeah, as far as my ideas are concerned, I actually want to take an obvious one, which is going to be influence in the early to help reduce the aggressive expansion, but also the Diplo rep to help us become elected emperor and so on. My second idea group, I think, is probably going to be admin, because I want that reduced core cost as soon as possible. And we're not going to be in desperate need for a CB, because we're just going to be claiming land from the Livonian Order, Poland, Lithuania, and Denmark, Sweden, and so on, as well as hopefully being able to use the Reconquest CB out here. So we're going to be pretty well preoccupied with a lot of things to do, and not going to be in the desperate need for a CB in probably like the first 100 years of the game. Then I'm probably going to take offensive ideas. I might actually take defensive. I will take defensive if I feel like we need the land maintenance reduced modifier. In other words, if our economy is not holding up because of all of the wars we're going to, and so on. Don't get me wrong, I don't actually think offensive is better than quality. However, I do want to take offensive because it will be our third idea group. We're going to go influence, admin, and then offensive. At that stage, we will have our ideas completely up and running, and we will have the most badass military around. Obviously, offensive will help us, but let's say even if a nation like whoever, Bohemia, gets a better military idea, they're not going to be comparable to us. I really want offensive because of the siege ability. I really feel like time is of the essence, and that's what I plan to take. From there, I'm probably going to take religious, and by that time we will be Protestant. One religious idea will actually give us the CB, and completing 4 of them will allow us to give us the conversion strength. I want to have the missionary conversion strength by the time we integrate Novgorod, which is also by the time we want to be adding land to the empire if we are emperorship. So that will be if we are the emperor. So that will be our third or fourth idea. Whereas I also want diplomatic for the reduced war score cost, but also as Prussia, we're going to be, I suppose we are going to be a duchy for a long time, rather than an empire. We're going to be a duchy or a kingdom. Either way, the diplomats are going to be nice. That's one of the downsides of being inside the empire, is we're not going to be able to form empire rank until we actually form Germany, which will be later on in the game. But we will get the Diplo reputation, which is absolutely key. It's going to be really important because unlike Austria, we don't have the Diplo rep from ideas. So I really want diplomatic ideas to help us alleviate that, being the emperor, passing reforms, and so on and so forth. It might make the difference between a Catholic choosing to be a vassal or us fighting them at the end of the game. And obviously from there, I'm mostly just going to take military ideas, quantity and defensive, or quality, and defensive. And I might also take exploration from a Diplo idea. That's pretty much it. Like I said, I want to absolutely explode out eastward. I would love to become emperor. I would love to get the Burgundian inheritance. I would love to expand into Italy also. 360-degree expansion outside the empire. I'd love to become Protestant, force Protestantism on the empire, and basically just expand outwards and integrate members of the empire one by one, ultimately integrating them all and forming Germany. I'm hyped. I'm looking forward to it, and this has been the prelude to the playlist that will be this Let's Play. I hope you guys enjoyed. It's good to be back. Let me know any comments, any ideas that you guys have, any tips you guys have if I could push this further. But yeah, I hope that you guys enjoy the kind of change in format. I realized that although Let's Play is the most generic thing ever, you know, a lot of the videos, like pretty much the most popular video I have of my world conquest has just essentially been a highlight. And why not do it live? I know this isn't live, this isn't going to be streamed. For those of you who don't know, my internet is poor quality. One day I will get really good internet and I'm going to be full pro entertainment machine, live streamer and YouTuber. But until then, why not do it live in the sense that you guys will see it uncut, raw. Those of you who want to see it, I'm going to begin uploading this just like my previous Let's Play before I have finished the campaign. I'm not going to be like these charlatans who play games and they record and edit them and they don't post them until they're sure that the game has gone well. If our game goes badly, then we will deal with it. We'll deal with it or we'll abandon ship. But all of you guys will be able to see completely raw if I embarrass myself. And likewise, you guys will be able to see completely raw if we have the most badass game ever and we just old school slap the world around and conquer the world. And that will show all you haters that don't exist, because my community is awesome, who say that I'm lucky and so on because of the personal unions that I get. I am lucky, and it's called winner's luck. Yeah, I love it. Respect it. Anyway, I feel like playing Germany, guys. I don't feel like playing Italy. I feel like playing Germany. I hope you guys are looking forward to it, and it's good to be back. I'm going to hopefully keep producing more and more content. Thank you very much for watching.